#1 global network.
I think now we're what, on maybe second, third generations of UNAA, right? So it is just a fantastic place to know that there's a home away from home. And of course, the embassy is always ready, willing, and able to be part of anything that has to do with home, to support you in any way. I came with my team. If you can just take a minute to please stand up so that people at least get to know that you're here. I see Philip here. Philip, where's our team? Can you stand up? Okay, maybe they're also still helping out with the processes of registration of the visas. And please, if there's anything that has not worked out today, just get back to us. Because again, these things are a process. Maybe a document wasn't there, maybe. Don't give up. We're trying our very best to make sure that we diligently do our job. But that also means that we also need feedback from you, and this is something that we're willing and able to work with you. Of course, I would like to acknowledge my, my thank you to Henrietta. You have been, you have done your job above and beyond. Thank you for representing. And also it says something for women leadership. And, and I also thank you, Honorable, for being here. We were here, you were a witness. People were saying, but where were you? We haven't been seeing you. And I have a witness in Honorable Nankaraban that there I was dancing to Afrigo until 3 a.m. on that table there. So, we can show up, you know, in some spaces as both are, you know, Ugandans. We have to enjoy ourselves. I was home the other week and weddings after weddings. But there's a sense of life. But on a serious note, we appreciate what you're doing. Living in America is not an easy place to be. But you have managed, and you have managed ably, and we are thankful. You have managed in such a way that your remittances exceed our FDI. So what does that tell you? Or what does that tell us? In that this is just the beginning. If we begin to focus on the business to business, if we leverage digital diplomacy and technology, there's a whole different sphere, and there's a whole different engagement that can happen. I know when I went to Boston, I found a moment I needed to do my hair, and she said, "Don't worry." So she took me around, and there are all these, I think there were like 3 or 4 Ugandan hairstylists in Boston. Then I said, I haven't eaten kabalagala in a long time. Next thing you know, there's kabalagala. So I'm like, Boston really is a home away from home. So thank you for being very welcoming, super enterprising. And I spent my first Sunday with Boston. I went there, it was Independence Day. And I went to 4 churches. And within that day, I met nearly 1,000 Ugandans. And within those churches, they either owned the church, were renting the church, or were about to buy the church. And now I hear people are even buying land, or in discussions of buying land. And this is what America is really about. Taking the opportunities, investing, and doing well. And I know many of you are achieving in many, many other areas, in academia, in medical, in business. And you've also have the heart for home in that you've built schools there. I don't know how many people you have paid school fees for. But government appreciates you, and they appreciate your heart for Uganda. And the little that we can play at the embassy is to let you know that we are there for you. It is our mandate. We are at your service. Please, don't be shy to pick up that phone. And I know Americans, you're very, I can't say demanding, but you won't take anything less than what you deserve. So you've put us to a task. It's a task that we are ready. And under my watch, under my team, we shall, where we can, change things. Where we can't, accept and ask you to help us to change these things. I think my time is over because people have to get ready for the red carpet. So I don't want to be the one to delay those other important things. But again, this is a conversation. We're just beginning. This is not going to be my last UNA. Already we're planning. I've spent half my time in Uganda, half my time in Arizona. So I grew up in Arizona. Some Arizona people are saying, when is UNA coming to Arizona? So, and on that part, if they say so, I'm on their side on that one. It can be a bit hot, but mine is to put in a good word for you, and I put in a good word for Arizona. So, but thank you for this meal, and yeah, I just want to also know that I'm just not standing here as the embassy, but we've also have government representatives this weekend, and they're also here because the importance of your relationship and our commitment to the Ugandan diaspora. I thank you once again. Oh, and my colleague, I want to recognize my colleague. Many of you, when you go to the Middle East, and the president acknowledged. The president said, you know, sometimes with his words, but when we were in the orientation, he said, at least you're doing something. So that says a lot. That says a lot. So, and thank you once again.
Ladies and gentlemen, the ambassador of Uganda to the United States, Ambassador Roby Kakonge. Thank you very much. In the observation of protocol, I need to make sure I get it right. I do have so many of my elders right before me, and I want to make sure I do it right. I was asked to recognize Ambassador Kibedi's presence here. But now that Ambassador has already done, I don't think I have the rights to, but I'll still mention it, that he is here and he's the ambassador of Uganda to the UAE. Thank you so much for your presence, Ambassador.
This is Diaspora TV, your #1 global network.
Gentlemen, like we said, this year's
the
theme
highlight of
is
this year's UNA Convention and Trade Expo in Dallas is an insightful presentation by the Managing Director of Equity Bank, Mr. Anton Kituka, talking about banking back home, the opportunities and the rewards you don't want to miss. Equity is proud to be associated with this year's convention. It's all happening at the Investment Forum session. Come, learn about banking and investment back home and how Equity can support you. Be sure to carry your passport and driving permit or utility bill to open your diaspora account. No minimum balance required. We have a lot to offer. Equity is back.
That wasn't
See you
home
there.
and wasn't
Equity
work.
Bank is regulated
And
by
that's
the
how they
Bank of
formed the
Uganda.
new
Customer deposits are protected by
environments
the
that we
Deposit
call
Protection Fund
cafes.
of
They
Uganda
created
up
a
to 10
third
million
place,
shillings.
a place that was perfect enough to be home and perfect enough to be at.
This is Diaspora TV, your #1 global network.
Here, we think about the third place. Where can I be both Ugandan and the United States, an American citizen at the same time? I think there's no other place than actually Dallas, Texas right now. It's the only place you can actually be American and Ugandan. So I want to thank you all once again for coming. Ladies and gentlemen, our next speaker is going to be the NIRA board chairperson, Mr. Joseph Barry Bonnoir. I know some of you are wondering, NIRA, why NIRA? But please, if you haven't gotten your national ID, you don't know how important it is. It's the best gift you can ever have. And that said, we have somebody that I think misplaced their passport. I do have it with me. And if you know you don't have your Ugandan passport, it's actually with me. Make sure you find me before the end of this convention. Otherwise, you might be stuck here for a while. Yeah.
This is Diaspora TV, your #1 global network.
Honorable ministers from Uganda, our ambassadors from Uganda, senior government officials from Uganda, the president of UNAA, and all the members of the executive of UNAA, my colleagues, Ugandans, both from Uganda and from the American diaspora, good afternoon. My name is Joseph Barry Bonnoir. I'm the chairman of the National Identification and Registration Authority, popularly known as NIRA or Rwendanga Muntu. On behalf of NIRA, we want to appreciate what UNAA is doing, particularly bringing the Ugandans together, making sure the Ugandans who are in the diaspora remember home, they invest home, and they keep in touch with home. In the same spirit, we as NIRA, we are here to facilitate you are keeping in touch with home. NIRA is a government agency responsible for registrations of birth, deaths, citizenship, and the foreigners in Uganda. We derive our mandate from the obvious laws, the Constitution, the Children's Act, the Registrations of Persons Act, and the other supporting regulations. In the theme, there is emphasis on technology, and NIRA has a big component to use technology. NIRA has embraced technology as a key driver in most of our operations, and currently applies technology in carrying out registration, data processing, and data storage. NIRA is, however, faced with a number of challenges today because our technology we are using now is very old. It is over 10 years old. And you people in the diaspora know that any IT item which is more than 5 years old is almost equivalent to 20 years of a person's age. But don't lose hope. The government of Uganda has made arrangements to procure a new system which we hope to start using in December for mass registration of people and renewal of the expiring IDs. In terms of business, the Ndangamuntu, the National Identity Card, has become part and parcel of the business. The Central Bank of Uganda, Bank of Uganda, has directed all commercial banks now to use the National Identity Card, the Ndangamuntu, when the commercial banks are identifying their clients. In the past, a client could get a loan by presenting a passport or a driving permit, but now the central bank has given a ruling that only the national ID will be recognized as an identification document. Many agencies are linked to the system of NIRA, and in the process, they use our identification for various clients. If you are in URA, if you are doing business or you're paying tax URA, the first identification you get before even you get the TIN number is your Ndangamuntu number, your NIN. For cross-border business, you can now, within the community, you can travel using the national ID. In the Ministry of Education, they have now started with us an arrangement to peg the index number for P7, for S4, for S6, and for the government universities. They peg the index number to the NIN so that in the future, forgeries on NASA Street of certificates are minimized. I can go on giving many, many examples. Many institutions which want to know their customers, the first priority they use is the NIN number or the national identification number of the national identification. I'll take you into the roles, our statutory roles, as I have said, to register people, to assign NIN numbers, to preserve and protect the data collected, and to issue national IDs, and so on. Our full functions, as I said earlier, is birth registration, citizen registration, alien registration, and death registration. Soon the law is going to be changed, and we shall have an additional mandate, registration of marriages, which has been under the Registration Services Bureau. It's also going to be now transferred to us. I need not emphasize the benefits of the national ID. It facilitates development because it facilitates the planning. It helps various organizations know their customers as a source of identification. And it's also a security tool. Security agencies use it in controlling and identifying criminals. NIRA has paired up with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs to help our relatives and friends who are in the diaspora to register and benefit to hold the national ID. I would now like to appreciate all our missions, particularly the 8 missions which I'm going to mention, where we have already operationalized this relationship, where we use officials of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs to help in the exercise of registrations of citizens in the diaspora. Before I could even mention, right outside here now, We have our mobile office. Ugandans from within the America can check for their identity cards, which have already been lying in the two missions of New York and Washington, D.C. But on top of that, we can now register here. We can take your particulars and your biometrics so that we start processing your national ID. We have had an influx, enthusiastic Ugandans since the other day, yesterday, and today, and we are still open tomorrow to answer a number of queries in conjunction with the immigration staff who are here to help our friends in the diaspora to register. But I'm grateful to the following missions where we have paired up with the Minister of Foreign Affairs, with our mission in Washington, our mission in New York, our embassy in Canada, our embassy in London, our embassy in Pretoria, our embassy in Abu Dhabi, our High Commission in Kenya, Belgium, our embassy in Belgium, and soon we shall be opening one in Bonn, in Germany. We have had a number of challenges with the registration in the diaspora. It has not been easy as I'm trying to put it. One of the main problems is the technology we have been using is a bit obsolete. So the registration equipment or kits we have are slow, and most of you wonder why a government should have such old equipment. But as I've explained, we are getting a new system at the end of this year. So the exercise is going to be much faster. There have also been delays in registration because some of these things could be done online before you come to bring your biometrics to be taken at the missions. So we have sorted this out that the basic registration is now going to be online for the people in the diaspora. And you come to the mission to take your biometrics. That will speed up the exercise. Another complaint has been that when people come to take their biometrics, they spend money, they spend time. So when the cards come, they also spend money and time to come and pick these cards. In fact, a number of cards have now been abandoned at the two missions. In Washington, we have 300 cards which have not been claimed. In New York, we have about 160 cards which have not been claimed. We are working out an arrangement whereby when these cards come to the mission, they can be posted to the applicants direct. But this means changing the law, changing the regulations, because one of the conditions is that when you come to pick the identity card, you have still to be subjected to another test of your biometric fingers to check if you are the right person. But our colleagues in the passport are already doing it, and we think we can find a solution to that in the regulation if that can be relaxed. We are now going into a big exercise of mass renewal and mass registration. The oldest cards we have expire, I think, starting August this year. August next year. So starting in December this year, we shall be renewing these cards and also doing a mass registration for the new people. So we want to encourage the people in the diaspora that when we come down for the new exercise, we shall be paying special attention to you. We are changing some of the forms we have been using for registration because we have been using the forms which we have in Uganda for registration also to be used in the diaspora. These forms talk of LC1, they talk of sub-county, they talk of the district, which areas are not applicable here. So we are going to abridge these forms. Unfortunately, these forms are in the law. So we have our bosses who are here, the cabinet ministers and the parliamentarians will be coming to you to have the forms different, the ones for the diaspora to have them different from the generic ones we are using. We shall be issuing details how we can register, how we can improve the registration of the people in the diaspora, as I've explained. I had also prepared details of how many people are registered, but that can be obtained from our website. We had also prepared definitions of birth and death. Those are available on the website and in the Constitution. We have prepared some risks for you to appreciate why people should register births. A child who is not identified with the registration, they have a risk of losing their inheritance during family conflicts in case of unfortunate deaths. A child also risks being trafficked or being used as labor or married off prematurely if the age is not defined. And information on birth is now being used in many institutions like public service to determine retirement, to determine the wage bill. So those are the advantages of registration, of birth certificates. The number of definitions which are in the law, I don't want to bore you with those. The mass renew exercise is to renew about 16 million people who are holding the cards now. And we hope to register another 17 million people who have returned of age since the last registration. We shall have an improved card with improved features which are in conformity with a number of international relations organizations, especially ICAO, which approves a document to be used as a travel document. ICAO had declined to approve our document because it was lacking a number of features which we have now incorporated. We have a number of agencies which access our system to use in terms of deliveries of their services. We have URA, we have the banks, and Ministry of Lands, Civil Aviation, Security. So we are sharing our services with a number of MDAs. The new card has many, many features, but in the interest of time, the features are going to be put on our website for you people to critique. They have already been securely analyzed by all stakeholders in Uganda. Once again, thank you very much for listening to me, and I encourage you to have your Ndangamuntu.
Thank you very much, NIRA. It's definitely reimagined. NIRA reimagined. All right, ladies and gentlemen, without wasting much time, without that, we have a message from our sponsor. This particular sponsor has actually been at the forefront of technology and has been one of those stories that history or the future will tell on how banks lost money, and I guess banks just had to play along. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, I'd like to invite MTN in the house. Thank you for inspiring technology. Thank you for being the brand that we're looking for when it comes to the word, technology reimagined. Thank you very much.
This is Diaspora TV, your number one global network.
My name is Jemima Karaoke, and I'm the Chief Product Officer at MTN. So greetings from Uganda. I did have some slides. I don't know if... Okay, there you go. So why am I here? I think that's the one question I've been asked across board. Why is MTN Momo here? Does it make sense to a lot of us for Momo to be here in the diaspora, considering you don't use the service really? The main reason is because we want to encourage remittance. We know that you're sending money back home. So we really want you to consider Momo as the channel in which you send money back home. Why is it important? Momo is now in the hands of almost all Ugandans. We are the largest fintech in Uganda. I don't know how many of you know this, but as per regulation, MTN and Mobile Money were separated. So they're two different companies. And we are now pretty much the biggest fintech, the largest fintech in Africa, MTN Mobile Money. And what that means is all the ideas that are in the diaspora. I was lucky enough to sit with the team that founded the Tech Forum, and there are many ideas that are coming out of here. And what we want, and most of the ideas are really to be implemented in Uganda, what we really want is to make sure that you consider Mobile Money as your partner to take these products back home. So all the inventions that are, people are coming up with here, really, if you want to implement them and have that last mile effect, we want you to consider us. Okay? So very quickly, just jumping into why we're here. I've spoken about mobile money. I've spoken about remittance. But MTN Momo, Momo means mobile money for those who don't know. We do many things, so it's actually beyond just remittance. We are changing lives one village at a time. I think that's a message we've coined from the table that I'm sitting in. But we really are. We're changing lives one village at a time. We have products that are actually beyond remittance. We're able to allow people to take loans. I don't know how many of you know of MoCash, a service we launched a couple of years ago. Show of hands. Or is it completely lost to the... Oh, there you go. A few people know about it. So as Ugandans, you can actually take loans from your phone. You're able to pay back. You take loans for whatever reason, whether you're paying your bills, you have a school fees, etc. that you want to pay. That's the type of loan you'd be able to take. We also allow for payments, so you'll be able to pay your umeme bill, your water bill, etc. using Momo. The other things that we're able to do now is that we've enabled codes. For those who've been back home in the last, maybe year or so, you may have noticed that every merchant has a code where you're able to make payments using Momo, right? So we are digitizing the environment entirely. But the purpose of our stay here or visit here is to actually tell you that we're moving forward to bring this Momo service to the diaspora. What this means is, as you're sitting here, you send money back home, but you send as money, right? You're sending funds to someone's wallet because you want them to use it for something. What we want to do is help you have that last mile. So for example, if in an instance where someone is saying, pay my school fees, what we want to enable you to do is actually pay directly to the school. So you're no longer sending money to someone for them to pay school fees. You can actually pay school fees directly, right? If someone calls you and they say they have a hospital bill they want to settle, you can ask them, give me the code of the hospital. I can send the money directly there. So those are the type of services and use cases that we're bringing on board to allow you to be able to actually do that last mile, as opposed to sending money to someone, right? In an instance where you're paying your loan, maybe you've taken a SACCO loan, maybe you're building a house, right? You can send money to the hardware store directly instead of sending to a relative for them to buy the cement or whatever it is. So that's really the last mile solutions that we're bringing to the diaspora as MTN Mobile Money. I had a video that I wanted played. I think it's, is there the audio? No audio? Okay. But this is really just how you send money, and we'll make sure that this is then passed on to the UNA team for them to distribute across board. But it just shows you the ways in which you can send money at the moment back home. We have our partners, World Remit, Remitly, MoneyGram, etc., where you're able to use the service. I'm sure you're already using it now. But we make sure that these are distributed across board. Other than that, I'm very happy to be here in front of you today. If you have any questions regarding MTN Mobile Money, please feel free to reach out. Thank you very much.
This is Diaspora TV, your #1 global network.
Pioneers in forming and forging ways with new technologies to make sure our country is on key with the movement of IT. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, I'd like to invite a very special person here talking about technology. I believe their university today is inspiring change through innovation, and if there's anything, honorable ministers and protocol here, I think Mbara University needs some more money in research. These guys have gone far and beyond. Please join me in welcoming the Vice Chancellor of the Mbara University, Dr. Celestino Obua, to the front. Thank you very much. Doctor, are you here? Is Doctor here? He probably stepped out. Anyone from Bar?
This is Diaspora TV, your #1.
Every day, over 15 million members are transforming Africa.
and sunbathed with plains of our homeland. That led to skyscraping jungles of America 10 years ago, and took the same route back to Uganda 10 years later. Just realizing that I'm not a person who is good with speeches, but I'm gonna try. Said a decade back, I planted my feet on the American soil, heart filled with hope and head brimming with ideas. And all I had was unyielding will and exhaustible desire to create. This seed of my very first venture of Kubotaka Radio was thus one. It started as a humble radio station and resonating with our culture, our language, our identity in a foreign land. That was my first venture. But that was me in 2012. The first time I ever boarded a plane. I was on my way to the US. And after my venture with Kubotaka radio station, then came an era of calling cards. I believe anyone who has lived here 10 years and over, you know what a calling card is. For the people that have lived here like 3, 4, 5 years ago, you don't know what a calling card is, most likely. But that venture that promised great prospects when I started it, but alas, as the wheels of innovation turned that platform like WhatsApp and Viber and forwarded the era of free calls, and our business crashed behind the lessons of adaptability and resilience. Only those two lessons is what we picked up, I and a few people that I was working with. And faced by the initial failure, inspired by the relentless Ugandan spirit that you and me have, I dived into a world of money remittance, and this time round, I was trying to imitate the offline to the online, as MTN and Airtel had introduced mobile money. But here again, as competitors like Sendwave emerged with disrupted the market with free and fast and instant services, the service that I had before Sendwave, people used to call me, tell me that, hey, I want to send this money back to Uganda, can you send it? And then I had to call someone in Uganda to push that money. But when Sendwave came, they came because they had learned the market. They took their time to understand what really technology and innovation is all about. And for the poor guys like us, there's no way we would compete. We tried, but they won. But here, I still learned that in a business world, the early bird might never get the worm, but the second mouse always gets the cheese. Innovation is not just about being fast to the market, but being the best in the market. And we've never gave anything short of that. We have today players like NIRA who are trying again to disrupt what they did, and I'm sure they will even innovate further than that. But having experienced a string of failures, many would unpack their bags and accept defeat. You know, it's only natural to know that you can only go so far when you are trying to venture into something and like failing, and after failing, coming after failing, yeah, some people choose to give up. But for me, failure was never an option, so I had made a promise to me, to you, and to us all, to the people that I was serving. And this led me to experiment with a dating app, a venture that ironically could not even match a single person. I didn't do it because I wanted to match, but it was about business. Like, the world was fast moving to digital. We did that in Uganda, launched it. For some reason, West Africa has something about them. They always pick on something before anyone picks it. Launched a dating app in Uganda, but it was mostly used by Nigerians, you know? And I believe if I had stayed in a little longer, I would probably have made my mark there. But unfortunately, I had to pull the plug because it was a little hectic to run and manage while still have a life to live here. However, none of the above prepared me for what was to come, the inception of Zofikash. Zofikash flourished into a fintech, resolving a universal conundrum of salaried employees waiting on their monthly paychecks. We build a bridge of financial access which empowers employees to tap into their earned wages and not whim of a calendar, but on the basis of their needs. And this was an inspiration that I got after moving to the US. We all know, not just in Uganda, but on the entire African continent, when people work, they have to wait for end of month to get paid. Fast forward, you live in the US, people get paid as soon as they clock out, right? People get paid once a week, bi-weekly, you know? What that does is actually, it helps the economies like this to further flourish because there's consistent circulation of liquidity into the economy. People are able to take care of their needs when they have them. And as people are taking care of their needs when they have them, businesses are making money, which means they are able to take care of their employees. They pay salaries. But not just that. Cities and the government, the central government, is able to collect taxes, which puts it in a better position to deliver better services, which we always demand. Today we stand proud after raising over 1.1 million US dollars with a team of about 17. Oh, I was supposed to show you that actually. That was me in 2012. 2 days after I had arrived, somehow I found a job and I worked as a security guard. We call them loss prevention in LA. That's what I used to do. And that was my second job. We all know how it is. Like, you can't survive just on one job. So those were my first jobs in the US. But taking us back to the Zofikash story, we've raised over $1 million US. I've been privileged to put up a team of over 17 brilliant minds and a clientele over 20,000 Ugandans that can access their wages when they need them most. Now, the vision of Zofikash is now scaling the vast expanse, and we are looking to take our solution not just to outside Kampala, but the entire country, but not just in the country, but in the entire region of East Africa, and subsequently, we are going to take on the entire continent as the trailblazer that is going to change the 30 per day cycle. We believe it is very old, it is very outdated. People live life every day on a daily basis, right? From the moment you wake up, you buy data from MTN, you have to buy voice You have to buy airtime to make calls. You go to restaurants, you pay. You are literally, from the moment you wake up until when you go to bed, you've been spending. But imagine going through that every day, and you can only have access to your money only at the end of the month. So just like your many attempts over here today, and now I'm going to go a little bit personal. Just like you make many attempts at love, and most of them, for the most part, you meet heartbreaks, but yet you keep finding the courage to love again and again, right? Those heartbreaking highs, the breathtaking highs and the heartbreaking lows, they've been my startup. And you should make them your startup. You know? You go through that breakup and you think you never recover. But somehow you do. I went through one in 2019. In a space of 6 months, I went from being that big to being that small, right? But you can see how I look today. I rose, I didn't die. I want to encourage you today to rise above, work relentless, and the taste of the magnitude of your dreams. It's about those visions that keep you awake at night, gazing at the ceiling until the sunrise. But you must be on yourself just like I did, never losing sight of the twinkling North Star of success. Because dreams can only turn into reality when ignited by action, fueled by resiliency. As I live today, I want you to remember you are not defined by how many times you fall, but how many times you rise. Dust yourself off and strive forward. Seek not just success, but value creation. That's what we've done at Zofikash, and we are going not just to do this in Uganda, like I mentioned, we are going to do this in the entire continent. And as I live here today, I want to challenge you to know that while companies like Zofikash can stand proud and raise money from international investors, you guys seated here today should be our biggest champions. The only thing that we have are dreams. And those dreams can only be brought to life by getting support from you. I always ask people that if someone in Europe, or for Zofikash's sake, Nigeria, comes to Uganda and invests into $1 million, we create value, right? But at the end of it all, when we've grown into a multi-billion-dollar company, the people who have invested into our company are going to take back that money. And you can only imagine where that is going to leave us. You know? To the government, please, do not cannibalize on us. I've been in the ecosystem for the past 2 or 3 years, but URA has no shame into working into startups and closing them because they've not paid payee for a few employees that they have. We are just people trying to make ends meet. But we are a little getting frustrated, and we are frustrated because you are failing to see that a company that is trying to make through, build value, would pay millions and millions of tax if you support it today and not kill it. That's my humble cry. It's my humble request as I live today. So my dear fellow Ugandans, dream, dare, Live and repeat until you reach that star, but always remember to take Uganda as long as your North Star. Thank you so much.
This is Diaspora TV, your #1 global network.
You're going to be bagging quite heavy, buddy, and I want to be your friend for a long, long time. All right, so in the interest of time, I just had a word that our Mbara University Vice Chancellor, Dr. Celestine Obua, is in the house. Could you just come through, say a quick word before we can close this evening? Thank you very much.
Yo TV channels app kateli big and better. Anti app nyamwemu otuke munsi y'okunyumirwa. Selecting Yo TV channels or streaming a live radio net TV. Oba Kibanda Express katandike butandisi nga bwonyumirwa ebinna Uganda. Ate ku Bolingo Extra au supporting a music wa Uganda ne comedy. Tokanga kumuto
Ugandans who are at the UNAA this year. My name is Celestine Obua. I'm the Vice Chancellor of Mbara University of Science and Technology. And when they call me a professor, I'm a professor of pharmacology and therapeutics. The doctors in this room know that when you give medicines to patients, you have had training from a pharmacologist. I know and I'm aware that most of the speeches have been by investors, trade development, those who are looking for other forms of collaborations and relationships. I'm coming from academia. I've led a delegation from Mbara University of Science and Technology. The lady snapping my picture there is Anke Weishet. She's a Ugandan made in Germany. And then I have two other colleagues, Professor Robert Tamkong and Dr. Kasim Tolo. Coming from academia, I want to communicate something very brief and simple. Academic institutions suffer one thing. They have big ideas, they think big, but what kills their dreams is lack of funds to do what they want to do. At Mbara University of Science and Technology, we were grateful for the last 5 years, coming to 6 years now, that the government of Uganda got a loan from the World Bank, granted it to us to develop what we call a center of excellence. Pharmaceutical Biotechnology Center of Excellence. In short, we call it Farm Biotrack. If COVID did not come, many Ugandans and probably the rest of the world would not have recognized that we are sitting and sleeping on a diverse wealth, our indigenous wealth in the country. Traditional medicines, 25% of the medicines we use today come from herbs and plants. Meaning, Uganda, of having its equatorial and tropical biodiversity, is sitting on wealth. But we have never exploited this wealth. Through the World Bank funding, we have developed a center of excellence. And this center of excellence has fantastic laboratories. We are able to do bioprospecting and documentation of plants. We are able to design and help our young scientists to be able to innovate. And those of you who were in Uganda during the peak of COVID-19 used or bought for your friends and relatives Covidex. Covidex is a herbal product that in many ways supported or improved care for people who are suffering from COVID-19. There are many other products that have come out of Farm Biotrack as a result of incubating researchers and getting them to develop these resources into potential products that can transform not only the pharmaceutical industry in Uganda, but the very communities in which these products are obtained. But in order to do that, we came up with the idea, how do we sustain the things that we have developed through Farm Biotrack? How do we sustain it once the funding from the World Bank ended? We came up with the idea that we need a foundation. And indeed, we developed Friends of Farm Biotrack Foundation. This foundation has been duly registered here in the US with a 501c3 tax-exempt nonprofit organization. It has its employer identification number. It has a registration number here in the US, and in Uganda, it is also registered as an NGO with the necessary permit and registration number. What is the purpose? Why do we want this NGO to survive? This foundation was established as a sustainability measure for the Farm Biotrack. It is an African higher center of excellence in the rural Mbarara University of Science and Technology. Most of you will remember that when you ask somebody, have you been to university? It was, have you been to Makerere? But today, when you ask somebody, have you been to the university? They are probably asking you, have you been to Mbarara University? In terms of science and technology, that is what we want this university to leave its name. It was started as a University of Science and Technology. It is growing and realizing that name as a University of Science and Technology. For you, our friends, brothers and sisters in the diaspora here, some of you may have trained in Makerere, you left Uganda, you came in the US, and you wonder, what is this we are hearing about Mbarara? I implore you and challenge you that the next time you visit your home country, come to Mbarara and look for where Mbarara University of Science and Technology is. You will see an institution that is living its name. Back to the foundation, Friends of Farm Biotrack Foundation. We want to leverage resources to support and advance the mission and the vision of Farm Biotrack, to build a critical mass of specialized and skilled human resources that can advance traditional medicine and the pharmaceutical biotechnology for socio-economic development of Uganda, the region, and Africa. Our vision is to sustainably support the operations that will help to promote pharma biotechnology amongst our people in the community. In fact, already what we have been doing is we are working with the local community, the traditional healers. I dare challenge any of you who say you have never used traditional medicine, because we have all used. Our mothers gave us, when you had a stomach ache, a headache, you are given some medicine. The issue is the practice. How do we make it possible for these people to practice what is acceptable to society today? Standardization of their practice is what we're aiming to do. We are going to develop a training facility. We have already been doing that, training our healers, short courses we have been giving them to improve their ability to sustainably harvest the products. We are training them on how to package the products, and we are training them how to formulate the products. So that instead of taking 10 jerry cans of a medicine, it can be formulated in a small capsule or a tablet form which you can take. And we have facilities for that in Bara University of Science and Technology. Why am I talking to you? Because we want you to be our ambassadors. Importantly, we want you to dig into your pockets and come and support this nascent university with very bright, sharp scientists that are going to make you proud, because when you will import traditional medicines packaged in Uganda, you will throw away the Ayurvedic medicine from India. But I don't mean to insult anybody from India or from wherever, because the world knows that if you want traditional medicine, you buy the ones from India or from China. What we are doing is exactly what those fellows have done, but we want to do it better. We want to do it better by engaging our healers, our traditional healers. We want to do it better by engaging academia, because when you train people, the young people we are training today will promote the use of our biodiversity. We don't want just to produce the products and sell it. So training is a big component of what we want to do. Secondly, training the practitioners on how to sustainably harvest the products. 3, we want to train the practitioners to make sure that they can continue planting and ensuring that these products do not disappear, the plants do not disappear. We are I'm about to finish. Yeah. So one of the things we want to do is what we are calling the green bank, the gene bank for these plants. When we train these healers to plant, to grow these essential, very important medicinal plants, we shall ensure sustainability, that for generations to come, the plants and the medicines will be available. So what is my final message to you? We want you to support us. For those of you who live in the US, we already indicated that this foundation is registered in the US with a 501c3 tax exempt. That means if you donate money, you will be rebated on your tax. It is a foundation that is registered here as well as in Uganda. We have a bank account, both in USD and in Uganda shillings. So we shall accept all forms of contributions from you. We are doing it openly, and I can assure you that if you're looking for an institution without corruption, come to Mbara University of Science and Technology. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you. I want to thank you for your support. We have flyers, and I'm going to ask my colleagues to see if they can pass them around for you to get additional information. Once again, I'm Professor Celestino Bua, Vice Chancellor of Mbara University of Science and Technology. Thank you very much for listening to me.
This is Diaspora TV, your #1 global network.
And your story. I know what it felt like to go home and to be stuck at that Karuma bridge, and you cannot cross that road because it happened the night before and it's a mess. And I know what it feels like to sleep right next to the barracks when it's rocking and to pass through those places and all you see is the smoke from burnt homes. It's fresh in my heart sometimes when I think about it. But years later on, we got a chance to work together when I was on Touch FM in Kampala, and I know your story. I'm so proud to have you here. She has a book, The Faces in Their Eyes. It's something that's on Kindle. Please, if you have a chance, get in touch with Pompey. Her story is incredible. Post-IDP situations are just one that you do not want to remember sometimes when you think about it. The stories are humbling. But now I'd like to invite a disruptive thinker that I believe is actually a very, very serious disruptive thinker, because the last time I spoke to this gentleman, his story was different. Today, his story is different. And his story is different because he has managed to blend his past, his present, but looked at the future of our country. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, I would like to invite Honorable Minister of Justice of Uganda, Norbert Mao, in the house. Thank you very much for coming to UNAA.
This is Diaspora TV, your #1 global network.
Yo TV channels app kateli big and better. Anti app nyamwemu otuke munsi y'okunyumirwa. Selecting Yo TV channels or streaming live radio net TV. Oba Kibanda Express katandike butandisi nga bwonyumirwa ebinna Uganda. Ate ku Bolingo Extra supporting music wa Uganda ne comedy. Tokanga ku muto abana bakunyumirwanga n'okuyiga olwakatuni ow'omulembe abaako ate nga ayigiriza. Downloading app ya Yo TV channels leero.
My colleagues, the ministers, Your Excellency, the Ambassador of Uganda to the United States. I don't see President Henrietta. I think she's presiding. Dear friends, yes, and the chairs. Next time I come to UNAA, I want to be among the first speakers or the only speaker. I think I'll work for the second one. You must be very big to be the only speaker. So let me work on that. To the members of UNAA who are here, everything born big is a monster. UNAA was born very small, started by 6 people. And over the years, it has grown organically to be the preeminent Uganda diaspora organization representing Uganda in all its diversity. It is our hope that in UNAA, people can agree, disagree, and even agree to disagree. Through UNAA, some of us who were coming from a part of Uganda that was bedeviled by a long war found a forum to gain the sympathies of fellow citizens from other parts of Uganda who were not from the north, to understand the anguish in which people were trapped. Earlier, I saw my nephew, Professor Ben Abe. I think he has gone for the General Assembly. He had always a very small meeting initially called the Northern Forum. A small meeting whose purpose was to prick the conscience of Ugandans to understand that the war in the north was not about the north. Because whatever money was being used to fight that war had an opportunity cost. Money which was meant to build roads in other parts of Uganda was going into the war. Money meant to supply water, build schools and hospitals was going into that war. So today, 35 years later, I stand to pay tribute to the spirit of UNA. And that spirit must be protected against all challenges. Of course, by listening to the talk in the corridors, given that this is an election year in UNA, UNA is a bit like a candle in the wind. There are many winds that are blowing, threatening to snap out UNA. But I believe that the spirit of UNA will live on. Those of us from Uganda are but here to be witnesses, because we are going back to talk about you, because people will want to know how are our people in Uganda. Our view of America is shaped by Hollywood. We see Kim Kardashian, they'll ask us, do our people live like Kim Kardashian and Kanye West and so on? I understand they separated. But we are also here to listen to you tell us about the UNA you want. I am here to urge you to build the UNA you want, you who live in the diaspora. Not the UNA the Uganda government want, because UNA is yours. UNA is your thing. We can have our expectations, but our expectation must be framed within what you want as UNA. This being an election year, we expect that the successors to the current leadership will take UNA to greater heights, that you'll raise the standard of leadership. I'm not a Muganda, but I was brought up from the age of 8 months by a Muganda woman whose sister is right here, Namubiru. My mother was called Namiro. She taught me the Luganda language, and one of the proverbs I love up to today, relating to leadership, goes as follows. Akaswa kampi bwe buzanyiro bw'endiga. A short anthill is the playground for sheep. Usually it is goats that can climb anthills. But by the time you see sheep climbing anthills, you know the anthill has been eroded. So I am here to tell you my expectation that the standard of leadership in UNA will be high, so that those who are unworthy, probably those who don't have integrity and so on, are not able to climb it. We have that problem in Uganda, of course. Problem of leadership. The anthills in Uganda have become so low that even sheep are climbing. So we need anthills that are tall so that only goats can climb them. I have one other question. Is the subject of the state of Uganda out of bounds for Ugandans in the diaspora to discuss? No. You remain a citizen wherever you go. I have been in a number of UNA meetings. When I was a student here in 2003, 2004, I ventured into the UNA meeting in Boston. Because UNA meetings are such a beehive of activities, there are too many meetings. I ended up in the wrong room thinking it was a political meeting. It was a Senga session. Now, for those of you, our friends who are not from Uganda, Senga is a sex counselor. So I got 2 hours of sex counseling for $10. But there were other very meaningful discussions. For instance, the campaign for dual citizenship was in top gear. And as I talk today, you have achieved it. You should congratulate yourselves, because you banged at that door until
the constitution was amended. You know, Article 15 of the Ugandan constitution was only amended in the year 2009. And until 2009, you had no right to dual citizenship. But you, the Ugandans in the diaspora, campaigned until you were able to achieve that. Indeed, the Uganda Citizenship and Immigration Control Amendment Act 2009 was enacted, and it even allowed so-called former Ugandans to get dual citizenships. Former Ugandan means even if you have renounced your Ugandan citizenship, we will still recover you from the recycle bin of citizenship and make you a dual citizenship. I've already told you that the subject of what is going on in Uganda is not out of bounds. There's only one Uganda. We cannot have two Ugandan communities, one that resides in the homeland in Africa and another one that resides in someone else's land in the diaspora. By the way, diaspora is a Jewish word meaning dispersal, dispersed. That's what the word diaspora means. So what UNAA tries to do is to gather what is dispersed, at least in this case, the one of North America. So today, in my capacity as President of the Democratic Party and as the Minister of Justice and Constitutional Affairs, I wish to state here categorically that it is the responsibility of the Uganda government to create an atmosphere in which all Ugandans can feel completely at home in Uganda. Whatever situation in Uganda that makes any citizen of Uganda to feel completely at home, not to feel completely at home in Uganda, should not be accepted as a fait accompli. Uganda is your home, and that's why we are here. That's why you have Minister Nankabirwa, who will be delivering the president's message. That's why you have the government chief whip is here. That is why you have the Minister for Tourism, one of the youngest ministers here. That's why you have the Minister for Lands, and that is why you have our representative to the United States, Ambassador Robbie Kakonge. Now, it is the duty of your association, the Ugandan North American Association, to continue to serve as a platform of advocacy and active citizenship to ensure that the voices of the Ugandan diaspora is heard in the Ugandan public discourse. To achieve this, you need to do two things. Hard as it is may be sometimes, Ugandans in the diaspora should not pull away from Uganda, but become even more involved. In other words, engage more, disengage less. Do everything possible to ensure that your critical role in Uganda and the way you support your families back home, thus standing in the gap left by government, is seen by all of us in Uganda. It will then become clearer that you are part of us back home and must be made to feel at home in Uganda. Uganda's diaspora needs more visibility on account of what you do. The ambassador already told you that the so-called foreign direct investment that our ambassadors are running around pleading for is far less than what you remit home as Ugandans in the diaspora. We cannot therefore close you out of the life of the nation and yet expect you to lobby support for our policies, advocate for Uganda, and fund projects in Uganda. Being a pro-Uganda advocacy forum will increase your influence and oblige the government to adopt a more pro-diaspora policy stance. I repeat that. Being a pro-Uganda advocacy forum will increase your influence and oblige the government to adopt a more pro-diaspora policy stance. You can choose to be anti-Uganda I'm not talking about we the politicians. You can be anti-Norbert Mao. You can even be anti the president. The two are different. We come and go, but the Uganda stays. I think many of you mix that up. You spend too much energy on your battles with the individuals. All those individuals are subject to the votes of the Ugandan people. So, the more pro-Uganda you are, the more the government of the day will feel obliged to be pro-diaspora, making everything easy. Whatever promises are being made here will be done in a snap once we know what you are capable of doing. Secondly, you should exercise your right to participate constructively in the political life of Uganda. The diaspora can be a political powerhouse capable of making its concerns an electoral issue. With the current proposals that the cabinet is due to discuss, I have prepared a cabinet paper with the Electoral Commission, which I'm due to take to cabinet, urging cabinet to approve amendments to our laws to allow Ugandans in the diaspora to vote. If we are even considering prisoners to vote, how about Ugandans in the diaspora? Some of you think we see you through the frame of the bloggers who give us earfuls of insults. That is totally wrong. We don't see you through that frame of those people who are daily recording insults and so on. Here we have met engineers, we have met doctors, we have met professors, we have met Ugandans we are very proud of. The other ones may be very loud, and some of you may think we think you're all like those ones. That should be corrected. We love you because we know even America is fighting for you. So we are here to fight for you and remind you that, you know, your roots are back home. A tree cannot fight against its roots. You must be connected to Uganda. In addition, we urge you to educate and inspire your children to understand the importance of staying connected to the Ugandan homeland. Finally, nation building is a duty for all Ugandans, whether they live in Uganda or in the diaspora. Don't forget that Uganda is just about 61 years old this October. It is therefore still a work in progress. Uganda is a very young country. Don't miss an opportunity to make your contribution to the progress of the country. On December 13th last year, that is 2022, U.S. Secretary of State Antony J. Blinken, while speaking at the Africa and Diaspora Young Leaders Forum, said that the Biden administration's new strategy for sub-Saharan Africa is rooted in one word, and that one word is partnership. He defined partnership as a recognition that we can't solve any of our shared priorities unless we work together. Now, the opposite of partnership is patronage and hegemony. We welcome the Biden administration's declaration of a new era of partnership and take it as a green light to Africans to not only challenge but to defy patronage and hegemony wherever it rears its head. Thank you very much.
This is Diaspora TV, your #1 global network.
I don't even have any words to say. What I will leave you with here is a word and a dream. Like Martin Luther King had a dream, I think today I can also declare that I have a dream. One of the dreams that I have is a space that we can all share somewhere around our beautiful country of Uganda. 54 tribes, I think we should be doing 55 now. A place where we'll absorb the best talent that as Africans we do not let our old walk away with that beautiful mind. We always have to find places where we can collect all that brilliance and generations next can benefit from it. What am I saying? That tomorrow when Auntie Ruth Kavira is home, retired, I do not want you to retire. I want a place where I want to attend your lecture every year, because it will be a lecture with a lot of experience. And in that lecture room, I want to see Robert Mao. In that lecture room, I want to see Samson Obua. I want to see Olaro Tunu. I want to see all these gentlemen in that lecture room, and I just want to listen to them and say, this is what I call the word. You know, when you guys speak up here, when you guys share your experiences, it is not a story. It is something that you can actually tell on to the next world. And like I said earlier on, the word was excellence. In that same room, I do know that Mandela, with his Java brand, has brought excellence in customer services. Today we have Mbara University inspiring excellence in research and medicine. Now I want to see excellence in leadership training, so that the next leaders that are coming into our parliament have had training from people like you who have inspired us. So with those words, I just want to say thank you for coming to Dallas, Texas. Our theme is technology, business, and culture reimagined. I hope we can leave this room this year reimagined with a direction that is going to move us forward, both as diaspora and the government of Uganda. Ladies and gentlemen, for God and my country, and in God we trust, I will see you tomorrow. Thank you very much.
This is Diaspora TV, your #1 global network.